Hello everyone and welcome to the WolverSportsCast. I am joined by none other than Cody Bodie, aka Rampage Bodie, and the guest of the night, Rated R. And we're going to talk about what's going on in the sports news, all the headlines. And first off, we're going to talk about NASCAR and seeing what the rule changing is. So they changed a huge rule. Well, in my opinion, it's a huge rule. They are changing they're moving the overtime line farther. So if you remember, it was pretty much coming, depending on the track, it was about halfway down the stretch. They are going to change it now to the start-finish line. So they're going to do a whole lap and then white flag. So if there's a caution before they take that white flag, they're going to keep doing it multiple times. Now, we're going to move on, and we're going to talk about Kurt Busch. So as many of you guys know, if you do follow NASCAR, he is racing for Stewart-Haas, and he is sponsored by Monster Energy and Haas Automotive. He is moving away from Stewart-Haas. There was really not many details on this, other than they cannot go forward progression with the team anymore. So that's going to be interesting where he's going to go. He used to run a Ford for, I believe Roush back in the early 2000s. Just as a prediction, Cody, where do you think, if Kurt Busch isn't going to race for Stewart-Haas anymore, what team do you think he will possibly look into interest for?
Well, in my opinion, since if Casey Kane is leaving Hendricks, like I said, this is just a guess. I think Kurt Busch would be perfect for Hendrick Motorsports.
Bingo. So I kind of said this, like, Casey Kane, he was the back marker of Hendrick, and like when Mark Martin was in the 5 car about, I think about 5-6 years ago, he was winning races and it wasn't that bad. I think if anyone gets in that 5 car, it's just going to be like the same thing. Like people like Danica is getting the same treatment with Stewart-Haas. So with Stewart-Haas, she's going to retire. So there's a possible thing of, could Matt Kenseth go to Stewart-Haas, which we'll talk about there for a second. But there's plenty of options. He could go back to Roush. It could be anything, honestly. So it would just, a time will tell and see where he wants to go. I mean, he won the Daytona 500 this year, so he's still got plenty in the tank for, winning races, put him in that position, and, he'd be one of my top picks to win a race, especially as prestigious as like Daytona or any other prestigious races in NASCAR. So we're going to move on to Matt Kenseth. As many of you guys know if you follow NASCAR, he is not going to get signed by Joe Gibbs. I don't know what's going on, if he doesn't like where he's at, if he's being mistreated. I don't know any of that. That has not been confirmed. He used to be for Roush. Cody, where do you think Matt Kenseth could go in possible realistic options for a team?
Well, that's a tough one. Well, I don't think he raced for Roush before, did he?
Matt Kenseth actually raced for Roush. He used to race the 17 car back for Roush back in the day. Won one championship. I can't remember what year. But
I can see him go back. I mean, it really depends.
Yeah.
I can see him go back, but then again,
it also, I think it also depends, like, how hard he wants to pursue a team. If he wants to, if he wants to stay with like, if he wants to stay with like the same manufacturer, or he wants to go to Hendrick, or does that matter to him? As of right now, he's pretty cool, calm, and collected about this. So I think he said when the time is right, he'll talk about this and talk about this problem in the future. So moving on.
That's something to look more into.
Yeah, for definitely. Alex Bowman, Dale Jr., this is his last season. He's had a very, very poor season. He's had, I think this might be the most DNFs he's had this season, so it's not looking like he's going out on a good note so far. Alex Bowman, that came in for him at the end of the season because of his concussion problem. He almost, I don't think he won the Phoenix race, but he finished pretty good, and that caught a lot of people's eyes. He will be driving the 88 car next year for Hendricks. Is this good or a poor move by Hendricks, Cody?
I don't think it's a bad move. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, he had 3 top 5 finishes driving the 88 whenever Dale Jr. was out.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I really think he's got some potential and everything, and I think it might be a good move for Hendrick Motorsports to keep him driving the 88 car next year.
Most definitely. And with talking about Dale Jr., he is going to become a part of the NBC broadcast crew this year. So, you know, it goes off to Fox and then it goes to NBC. He's going to be joining Jeff Burton, Kyle Petty, and everyone else on the NBC crew. So it'll be interesting. He's done a couple broadcasting on the Xfinity race. See if he likes that field or if he's going to pursue something else. So that'll be interesting as well. So more into some drama with the sports. And Rated, I don't know if you've kept up with this or not, but NASCAR put up a rule this year saying so if you got 5 or more years in the top series in the Cup, in the Monster Cup, you are only allowed to run 5 races in the Xfinity, the Truck, or any of the other series. And Kyle Busch put comments on this. He said if it goes down to 0, he is done with the sports. In my opinion, I think this is a good rule because, I mean, when you got drivers out there that have been doing this for a long time, they know what they're doing. Then you got these rookies that are finally getting this shot to be in a car, to possibly win a race, to possibly get their name out there and move on to bigger and better things. We'll start with you, Cody. What do you think this is a good idea by NASCAR to put this limit down to 5?
To be honest, I really think it is.
Okay. Just because you can show the rising stars what they can do if they're put in a crackdown clutch situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, to be honest, I mean, you know, I started watching NASCAR a little bit again and everything, and then I found out about the rule. But I really think it'll be good, like you said, for all the newcomers and everything else to get that clutch in.
Most definitely.
But then again,
I agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah, so I really don't see a problem with it. I mean, it's just, I mean, you know, you got some people that's talking crap about it and everything else, but, you know, like I said, I think it's a decent rule.
I think so too.
It's just like what Rampage said, a lot of people talk crap about it, but if everything stays the same and the basic legends basically continue to get to race, how are the newcomers that come into the game or come into driving supposed to get their names out there, supposed to get recognized?
Exactly.
Oh, I'm as good as they are.
Right.
Exactly. There you go. So, as you guys might have known or have looked in, NASCAR was at the Glen this weekend. It was the second shortest race in NASCAR history, being 2 hours and I forget how many minutes, but it was the second shortest race in history. And Kyle Busch got into it with Brad Keselowski late in the race in stage 3. They were going on it through the S's on the front side of the track, went through the chicane, aka the bus stop, and pretty much what happened was Brad Keselowski was down low as you could go before going in the grass on the inside of the bus stop, and Kyle Busch was next to him, and he tried pinching him down, and Keselowski had nowhere to go. He had A.J. Allmendinger behind him, and they both spun out. No caution was called, but Kyle Busch was very heated, and he had some words with his crew on this, and I have them right here. Kyle said, "You all better keep me away from that beep after this race." Busch radioed to his team, "I will kill that beep." Brad responded as, "I was going in the corner and I had AJ Allmendinger behind me when I got into the corner with Kyle Busch was next to me." Keselowski told the reporters the following race, "My spotter called it, but we were already down in the corner. It was too much for me to avoid, so we got into everybody and that hurt everyone in the race." Now, I don't know why this is news, but, you know, if you're a race car driver, and everyone's heard this, and you guys have heard this plenty of times, rubbing is racing, and at a high-octane track like Watkins Glen, going that fast and slamming down on the brakes, at Watkins Glen, should this even be a thing? I know Kyle Busch complains about a lot of stuff. Should he even be, you know, I mean, there's the heat of the moment, obviously, but if you guys think with me here is move on and forget about it and move on to next week. Do you agree with that?
I do totally agree. I mean, come on, man. Racing is racing.
Yeah, it's not, you know, I'm gonna, you know, lie over dead and give you this line, you get around me, you know? Right. Everyone is racing to get into the playoffs, aka the chase, as I call it, and it's getting down to crunch time. It is almost the fall, and everyone's trying to get that win. Kyle Busch has that win. Keselowski almost got that win. It came down to a fuel strategy race. You know, it heated tempers. You know, it's Watkins Glen is always a fun race to watch, and they also to play it in the video game. It's one of my favorite tracks. So Rubbin's racing, Kyle Busch.
Busch, you got nowhere to go. I mean, what are you gonna do?
Exactly. You shouldn't. You know, I mean, he hit you. You should have looked back at it and be like, you know what? You know, I was pushing too hard. Get over it and move on. I think is what we do.
About everything. So.
He does. So, wrapping up the Glen, Martin Truex Jr. gets the win. I was watching this race. I did not think he was going to make it on gas because everyone else had to pit. But he made it fourth win of the season. So, again, another win to Gibbs. Gibbs is, I think, got the most wins this year. They're the most dominating team this season, especially with, you know, Busch getting almost got wins and wins and wins and just came up short. So, just getting those back to good finishes. If you remember, I don't know what year this was, but one of the Labonte brothers, they made it into the chase, didn't win a single race, but won the championship off of top 5, top 10s, and leading laps. So I think
it was Bobby.
It might have been Bobby, but you can see right there being that good, finishing that great, and you'll get somewhere by doing that. So we're gonna move back to Kurt Busch. I missed on some stuff. Stuart Haas put this out in the tweet about, I think, a week or two ago. We do not comment on contract status, but we expect Kurt Busch back in the Monster Energy / Haas Automation Ford in 2018. Just saying. So, what do you guys think about this? Do you think this is more of a hint that they're going to give Kurt Busch what he wants? Or is he going to go race for another Ford team like Roush? Or there's another Ford team I can't think of at the moment.
I'm pretty sure that could be. I mean, that probably could be what it is. You know, you're going to give him what he wants, but it really depends.
Penske, excuse me.
Yeah. Well, but it really depends if Kurt Busch wants that deal, unless it's a deal to his liking.
Right. And
but
speaking of
Penske, it's all up to him.
Exactly. So Penske just signed Ryan Blaney to the team. Honestly, I don't think this is really news. I just want to cover on it. Ryan Blaney was with Wood Brother, and if you didn't know, Wood Brother is affiliated with Penske. So with, Ryan Blaney got his first win. He got his first win at Pocono earlier this year. Him being on the Penske team now, I think that might just give him some more.
I'd definitely give him a boost.
Give him a confidence boost at least, going into the future of his career. And I like the kid. I remember his father driving. I don't know if he was as great as what Ryan's doing in his career right now, but he's got big stuff coming up in his career. I definitely think so. So with that being said, we're going to move on to the last NASCAR headline, and we're going to talk about Casey Kane is leaving Hendrick Motorsports at the end of the season to look into other deals. Looking in there, he won at Indy just recently because it was just a wreck, and he played a conservative and won the race. You guys think he has some gas left in the tank to get it done with another team, get another couple wins before he hangs up the helmet and the racing suit?
I believe so. But he's been in the game for a while now.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong, he was a really good racer. But I kind of forgot what team he raced for.
Ray Everham with the 9, and then he ran with the 19 of Jeremy Mayfield. Yeah. And then with Red Bull in the 4 car about 5 or 6 years ago. So he's got the talent to do it. It'll be interesting to see if he gets signed, or will he go to the lower sport and have more competition there. There's all these different options that he can do, but I don't think he's going to hang it up. He's definitely going to look for another team.
Yeah, I definitely think he would. But it's just, from what I heard, I think Hendrick didn't really want to renew his contract.
I don't think so. It could be anything. Anything's flying up in that garage. So,
but, like I said, that was just up in the air and everything else, unless he just wants to do it, for himself.
Ray, did you remember Casey Kane at all? I don't think
not too much.
Not too much. I'm sorry, Cody. What were you gonna say?
Oh no, you're fine. But it's just like, to be honest, I think he's just doing it to find a better team or to go somewhere different. Because don't get me wrong,
absolutely.
After that win, it's been a while since he's won. But don't get me wrong, he had a couple top 10 finishes and stuff like that. But then again, I don't think he's been racing as hard as he was first starting out.
Right, and it can also come down to who has the most money. He didn't have the best parts. It can be anything with that. It's so much to talk about with who has the best parts, who has the best setup. It comes down to who's in first place crossing that line on the last lap. So that will do it for the NASCAR portion of the cast. We're going to move on to football. Football is upon us, and it has partially started. We had the Hall of Fame game, which we will talk about later this afternoon. That's later in the cast. So big thing that's been going on. He's been talk last season and this season. Colin Kaepernick. I know you kind of get a little disgust when we talk about this. So there was a false claim that he got signed to the Jets. That's not true. He's still a free agent. He was going to, the Ravens were going to sign him, but they said it was a business decision not to sign him. So now he's still looking out there. He was looking at Seattle. Seattle was possibly going to sign him, and it's still nothing out there. And a guy I respect, and you guys probably remember, Shannon Sharp played for Baltimore and Denver as one of the most dominant tight ends and trash-talking tight ends. I respect him for a man and a player. He says Colin Kaepernick does not deserve a second chance because he did nothing wrong to ruin his first chance. Do you guys agree with Shannon?
Yeah. But see, everyone thinks that the reason why they're not signing him and everything because he was being controversial last year with the knee during the national anthem.
Yes, which is highly disrespectful in my case.
I mean, it is, but then again, I'm just saying that might have something to do with it. But then again, I guess they just don't really have a use for him.
No one. Well, he's been to the Super Bowl, so he's got that. He knows how to take a team to the Super Bowl. But if you're an owner of a team, Cody, any team, doesn't matter what team you are, do you take that risk? Is the question.
It really depends. It really depends how desperate you are.
Do you need a quarterback that bad that you get him? And see, this is one of the thing I was saying is
I would pick him up to use him as a backup.
I mean, that's what he was doing. He had a decent year in the San Francisco. If I'm an owner, I think I'd be ballsy, and I would probably say this. I would talk to him and say, listen, I will sign you for 1 year and give you the amount of money I think you deserve. But you must stand for the national anthem every game. And if you don't and you kneel once, I'm not letting you play a single snap. And I'm firing you as soon as the game's over. Now that's a risk that people are going to take. And then you see that happen, and then you get bad looks on you as a team, as an organization, as a family. So, Rated, I'm going to ask you, would you take that chance as someone that has disrespected the country just by kneeling for the national anthem? I don't think Rated's here.
No, I don't think he's here.
Okay,
either.
so
Sorry about that.
Oh.
I was talking to my mom.
Oh, you're fine, man.
Honestly, it's a 50-50 gamble. I mean, you keep somebody who disrespected and took a knee during the national anthem, or you keep him and let him play, knowing that everybody knows what he did, and some people just saying, I don't know why they still have him because he disrespected us.
Absolutely, I agree with that. So it'll be interesting to see if he does get a job. If he doesn't get a job, well, you should have thought what you should have done. And you know, this is screwing your career. You're getting paid. You know, you get the ego. You get paid millions. You're an athlete. Honestly, two athletes. At least one. Luke Kuechly and Derek Carr are so passionate about the game. They respect everyone, no matter if you're on the same team or on the opposite team. You know, they are so passionate on what they do, and they respect everybody. You know, I probably wouldn't lose that mindset, but if I got signed to a team, yeah, I would probably get caught up in the fame for a little bit. But after that, business is business, in my opinion, you know. But with something like this, you gotta do, you know, respect the game and the country you live in, because the people that are fighting on the lines is giving us the respect and everything we get to do as a free country every day of our lives. So you got to do that. It's uncalled for. And, you know, it all comes down to that risk. So moving on, preseason predictions. We're going to talk about week 1. Actually, we're going to talk about 2 games. They're going to be 2 big games for a couple teams. So Detroit's going to be playing Indiana. And then the Panthers are playing this week, midweek, against the Texans. The Texans will not start the boy from Clemson, Mr. Watson, Deshaun Watson. Cody, I know you're a Clemson fan, and this is probably disappointing to you. I would really like to see him play against Clemson, against the Panthers in this game. But it all depends how good Tom Savage plays, and seeing, okay, let's put Deshaun up to the plate. Now, these are 2 fresh teams that got some talent. The Panthers with McCaffrey. McCaffrey is burning Kuechly in these practices. He's going to be, I think, a rising star in my opinion. And
he's definitely going to be a look out.
Definitely, with both of them. So who you got winning the game of the preseason? Now, we don't know who's starting and who's not.
Yeah. Well, that's probably going to be a tough one. But then again, like I said, it's going to be in Carolina and everything. You're going to get the hype. But, Carolina fans, no matter if it's preseason or not, they're all, it's all going to be, even if it's a Wednesday night game. To be honest, I think it's either going to be either a touchdown or a field goal between these two, but I'm not dissing the Texans or anything, but I think Carolina may have the advantage of the win.
I see Carolina winning by 3.
Yeah, like I said, either a field goal or either a touchdown. It really depends, whose defense shows up. But like I said, it's the preseason.
Yeah, you don't know who's starting, who's not. They will not put that out until.
You want to switch everybody up. I mean, that's gonna be like for every other preseason game. You want to switch everybody up.
Exactly.
See, like, to be honest, I really don't have a problem with them starting Savage over Deshaun. But like I said, Deshaun's a rookie. But see, like,
I say give him that shot. It's a preseason, but you also got 4 weeks of the preseason, so it could be next week too. He's got plenty of time.
They'll probably have him play a quarter. Or,
exactly.
They'll probably have him in, but I really think Deshaun's going to show out. But, that's just me because DW4 fan. But I really think, come on, man. Him and DeAndre Hopkins, I bet they'll be unstoppable, man.
Absolutely.
Because DeAndre Hopkins, he's pretty good. He's always been good. So.
Will Fuller, which is a receiver for the Texans, he is out for the season. He tore his ACL, so that's going to hurt their wide receiver core, upcoming rookie, and that's going to hurt them this year too. So the Lions are playing the Colts. We're not going to talk about all of them, but I just want to talk about these 2 games because I think they were going to be the biggest games this weekend, or this upcoming week, excuse me. I don't know who the Lions are going to start, but they got Teez Tabor and Jarrad Davis, 2 Gators. Jarrad Davis, an outside linebacker, and Teez Tabor, a cornerback. I think they're going to do good things. I watched them a little bit last year in college. So I don't know who's going to win that game. Honestly, I think it's going to be a close one too. It all depends on who's starting. I would like to say Detroit's going to get the upper edge, but we'll see. I want to see them win, but you never know with Detroit. It's always it's always a close one. So we're going to move on to the rookie predictions, and number 1 pick of the draft, Myles Garrett. I believe that's his name, right? I don't want to get it wrong. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, Myles Garrett.
Okay, Myles Garrett, defensive end. He had some injury troubles. I've seen a couple videos on him. Do you see a big year on him, Cody?
But
if he can stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you guys stay healthy, I mean, I think they're probably going to give him a decision. Delay low a little bit. They probably ain't going to start him in the game, because you really don't want to risk further injury.
Yep.
I mean, there's been a lot of players that done that. I mean, look at RG3.
Yeah.
He got injured and then everything else. And
downhill.
Then what? Yeah. So, if he, I'm saying, I think he's going to be okay. I mean, if he just rests out a little bit, if they don't start him right away and everything else, with him taking care of it and everything, I think he'll be good.
Another Browns, he was later in the draft. Michigan man, Jabril Peppers, versatile at almost every position on offense and defense, other than kicking the ball and kicking and punting. Do you see a big year on him, Cody? I don't know if you watched much of him this season.
I've seen him. I've seen him a couple of last season and everything. I think he's going to be a big impact.
Okay. I think he's going to be deadly on defense because, I mean, you can put him at safeties. You can put him at corner, a linebacker.
You can do it all, man.
You can put him as an edge rusher. They can run that Wildcat, which the Browns confirmed they will run that Wildcat a little bit more. So those defenses are going to have to be on him for that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I really think he's going to make an impact.
Like we talked about McCaffrey, Ed's boy, fast dude. I think he's going to have a great season.
Yeah.
If he gets some snaps, I mean, Stewart's in the ending of his career, maybe a couple years left. McCaffrey's there. If he has a decent season this year, I think Carolina will re-sign him, and he will be something they'll build around as a running back idol to the newer guys they will draft down the line. And I think they can run that option now, like with Cam. They said they're going to pass it more. They can run that read option now and be pretty deadly with it, and I think that's what's going to happen. And there's so many big names this year, and one of the last guys I'm going to talk about is, you guys remember the linebacker? I forget what his name was, but the Falcons linebacker. I will put his name up on the screen. I can't remember what his name is, but he made a big impact just on draft day. You remember how emotional he got when he got drafted by the Falcons at the end of the draft? And he cursed on when he got interviewed by Deion Sanders, but he was so happy he got to where he is. I didn't really know who he was, really, but Falcons. I see him going to the NFC Conference, the NFC Conference once again, just because look at all these threats they have on D now. I mean, they got Vic Beasley, they got that rookie, they've got all these corners. You know, I think they're going to go back. And they even got Jarrett. Jarrett had a shit ton of sacks, a ton of sacks in the Super Bowl. So I think they're going to be like I'm going to say they're going to be at least the number 2 defense if they keep continuing what they did last year with under Dan Quinn. So we're going to talk about the Hall of Fame game, NFL, last Thursday. I don't know if you watched it at all, Cody. I did, and it was kind of a snooze fest. They did not really start anyone, and they usually put a little bit more starters in. And they put Boise State guy in there, Keelan Moore. He did a decent job at quarterback. And then they have Blaine Gabbert from the Jaguars is playing for Arizona, and they look like that both teams still have some tweaks with their second, third, fourth string positions. So let's talk about the Cowboys real quick, Cody. How far do you see the Cowboys going this year?
Well, last year they were pretty good. I have to give them that. I think they're going to be the same. As much as I really don't like the Cowboys.
Yes.
I think it's going to be about the same this year. I mean, come on. Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott, you really can't stop those two.
Oh, yeah, you absolutely can't.
I mean,
but it's all going to be how you can tell. Just time can tell, I guess.
Yeah, plus you got Des Bryant. I mean, he's still pretty good. And then I'm just saying, I think they're going to be about the same. And I have a feeling they're going to be in playoffs this year.
I think they're going to be in the playoffs. I don't see them only losing one game. I see them going, I'd say they at least lose 2. So with that being said, we're going to talk about anything of, the GOAT, overrated, all that. We're going to talk about this, and we'll talk about NBA here in a minute too. So on Disputed, all rights to Fox on this. Undisputed, Skip could not be on the show, so they had a guy come in. And tell me if you guys agree with this. Okay, so we're going to talk about Tom Brady. LOAT, L-O-A-T, luckiest of all time. Tom Brady. You guys think he is the luckiest guy to be drafted, and when Bledsoe, I believe, got sidelined with an injury, he got to play, and he's just been highly gifted with these 5-star talent teams since he got drafted.
Well, I honestly wouldn't call it luck. I mean, don't get me wrong. The guys, I mean, the quarterback they had, Bledsoe, got hurt, and they gave Tom Brady a chance. That's the same thing with Dak Prescott. When Romo got hurt, when Dak Prescott went in, what did he do? He took over, and look at him.
So you think it's just opportunity, chance?
I really think it was an opportunity. Tom Brady took hold of the opportunity, and look at him now.
Exactly.
I mean, he just.
Yeah, there.
I mean, ever since he started playing, ever since he started playing, I mean, he's a 5-time Super Bowl champ. I mean, I'm saying I wouldn't call it luck.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to MOAT, M-O-O-A-T, also known as most overrated of all time, Dak Prescott. What do you think about this?
Well, I don't think he's overrated, man.
I think he's a good quarterback, but there's a small piece of me that he's partially overrated.
People are making him overrated.
Okay,
I really think people are making him overrated.
Okay, in this one, I can't help but laugh at this one. We're gonna talk about LeBron James, FFOAT and MSOAT. First one, the FF one, finals failures of all time. MSOAT, most sensitive of all time. What do you guys think about this?
He's definitely sensitive. I know that.
He cries and bitches and moans because he don't have a super team, and he went back to Cleveland was his thing. Rated, what do you think about this? I know you don't follow basketball too much, but how true is this, or how fake is it? Because I think it's pretty true in my opinion.
I think it's pretty true in my opinion too, because like you can't cry in basketball because your team isn't that good, and then forget this, I'm going back to my old team. At least I was good there, or my team was good. But come on, you're gonna cry? You can't do that.
No, exactly.
Plus you already won the finals. I mean, so what? That you lost the other one.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay, we'll talk about more on NBA here in a minute. I do not want to get off the subject of NBA, so we're going to move on. Vontaze Burfict. You guys might know who he is. He's a linebacker for the Cincinnati Bengals. So they had training camp this week, and they had a DB versus running back drill, and it was him versus Bernard, and they say this was a low tackle. The dude just grabbed him around his waist and threw him to the ground.
I remember that.
And Bernard came back and said, listen, it's emotional game. He's got a bunch of emotion for the game, just frustration, and it's football. They live, breathe, eat football. So, Burfict does have a past of being a dirty player. Everyone remembers from 2 years ago, Pittsburgh versus Cincinnati, a bunch of uncalled calls for, especially Antonio Brown getting smacked so hard he got a concussion. They'll put an eye on him and see, how Burfict is later on, if he's still being this dirty. But if you look at the video, go look the video. It's on YouTube. It's everywhere. It's not that bad. It's just a regular tackle, in my opinion. Just aggressive. I know he's dirty, but this wasn't dirty. So
you can't be throwing your own teammate on the ground like that.
Well, you're not supposed to, but the whole team broke out in a fight, and it is what it is. It's gonna happen. It's an aggressive game. I don't think it's anything to look into too deeply. So Brock Osweiler, he is not in the Texans anymore. He got moved to the Browns. He will be the starting quarterback for the Browns over Cody Kessler or anyone else they have. Now, he was cocky before the draft. Do you think he's going to do a decent job at quarterback? Cody.
Hang on.
While Cody gets this shit situated, I think he's going to be a decent quarterback. He was okay with Denver, but he moved and he's been struggling, so this will be the make or break year for him, in my opinion.
Sorry about that.
No, you're fine.
You were talking about him being cocky in the draft.
He's going to be the starting quarterback for the Browns.
Yeah, for the Browns.
You think this is a good idea by the coach?
Well, I think so. With him having experience, it's based off. It's really based off of experience. But then again, if the rookie shows up in the preseason, as a coach, you're going to have to make a decision.
Right. Okay, and the last piece of news before we go into conference predictions, Vince Wilfork, you guys might know him. He is a big name. Was with the Patriots for a long time, and then he was a Texan, and he finally retired. So a big name. I think an idol to, big dudes in the NFL. Wonder if he's going to become a coach or anything. So that'll be interesting to see. So we're going to move on to conference predictions. We're going to move into the NFC first. We're going to start with the North. Who do you have finishing where in the NFC North, and why? Now I'm going to go first. I say the Packers and the Lions have gone to it. So I think the Lions are going to be number 1 this year. Packers second, Vikings third, and the Bears in fourth. I just think the Lions have if they play their cards right this year, they will finish first place in the NFC North. They came close last year, just a lot of injuries and just lack of focus and concentration. Cody, where do you have your North standings?
It remains about the same, except I want to have the Bears third and the Vikings fourth.
Why do you say Bears third?
Well, they got potential. They've been having rough seasons and everything, but they've been picking up. But then again, the Vikings been going. For the Bears and the Vikings, it's always up and down, the same as for the Packers. But then again, you really can't stop Aaron Rodgers. But the reason why I think the Bears to be third, because I really think they picked up a few people from the draft.
Yep.
And I really think it's going to help them, motivate the team and everything.
Right. They got Michael Trubisky from North Carolina. He's not going to be starting quite yet, but I think he will make a name for himself with the Bears. A lot of Bears fans were happy about this. Rated, I don't know. You used to live in Chicago. You're a White Sox fan, a Bears fan. I know you stopped following football a while back. Where do you have your NFC standings at for the North?
Well, honestly, like you said, it has been a while since I followed the Bears, but I have been keeping in touch with a lot of fans who are actual Bears fans, and they were actually kind of excited about this year's draft. And they actually think the Bears, if they put it in, put the effort in, put the work in, that they could be a force to be reckoned with. Just like how they was when they had Rex Grossman as a quarterback until unfortunate accidents.
Yeah. So with former Bear, former Bronco, Jay Cutler signs 1 year, $10 million to the Dolphins because Tannehill hurts his knee. He gets surgery. He's done for the season. Is this a good or bad move by the Dolphins?
Oh my God. He didn't do anything with Chicago.
No, he did not.
I don't think he
was,
did.
Yeah, he was like basically colorblind.
Come on, man. I think it might be a bad move for Miami, man.
All right, Rated, what do you think about Jay Cutler?
Bye.
Yeah. There's so many memes. Like, there's a dolphin moving out. It's like Dolphins fans be like, fuck this shit, I'm out.
There's one that actually had him as a garbage can.
Yeah, that one too, with the 6 on there. That's a good one.
There was also one where they had a dolphin, where there was a dude in a minivan singing a song, and then all of a sudden he see a dolphin on the side of the road with his thumb up, saying anywhere but here.
You know, I think Miami is going to be the year of the crying Jordan, Cody. I can see it now.
I definitely think it will be because, I mean, come on, Jay Cutler, come on. Man.
I mean, the Ndamukong Suh's going to step on his nuts. I just see it. Even though they're on the opposite side of the ball, it's going to happen.
There's definitely going to be some crying Jordans for Miami, I can tell you that.
All right, so back to the NFC East. We're going to talk about the East. Giants, Eagles, Redskins, the Cowboys. That's not in my order. Who's going to win the East? I think the Cowboys are going to come first. Giants second. Eagles third. Fourth is the Redskins. I just think the Giants have the most options, and they finished decently. So, and I don't think they're better than the Cowboys. And I think the Cowboys just have better talent. I think they're going to finish 1, the Giants 2. What do you think about the East, Cody?
But I mean, it's going to be Dallas, and I think the Eagles are going to be second.
Why do you think the Eagles are going to be second?
I mean, come on, man. They picked up some big names. I mean, come on. I really think LeGarrette Blount is going to be a good asset for them. And I think,
I mean, they got former Florida man. I can't.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, yeah. Plus they got Alshon Jeffrey.
Gillislee, Mike Gillislee is another good running back too.
Yeah.
They got White as well. They're so. You know, that's the Patriots. I know that's not about the East, but, you know, they got Carson Wentz coming up, you know, getting used to this too. Yep. And they got Ertz. They just got all these, you know.
I mean, yeah, they got Zach Ertz.
They got the defensive end, Chris Long, as well.
I mean, I think they're going to be a lookout. I mean, the Eagles are definitely going to be a lookout. I know that. I mean, come on, because you got LeGarrette Blount. I mean, they picked up LeGarrette Blount. I think that he's going to impact that team. And you got Alshon Jeffrey. I know that would be a good asset. I mean, definitely. I'm just saying that Carson Wentz is going to have an arsenal. I mean, the Eagles are definitely going to be worth the looking. That's why I think they're going to be in second.
Raiders, any thoughts on the NFC East?
No thoughts, really.
Okay, so we're going to move on to the South. The South includes the Buccaneers, the Saints, the Panthers, and the Falcons. Falcons are the best team out of this group by far, and I think of. So I think that's going to be Falcons. And this is a really tough number 2 for me. I'm going to say Panthers number 2, Buccaneers 3rd, and the Saints 4th.
I can't argue with that.
And this is my reason why for putting Saints last. Drew Brees is basically by himself. Yes, they got Ted Ginn from the Panthers. You know, they got all these new talent coming in, but it's all inconsistent efforts. And in the end of the day, that's not going to help you. Buccaneers, they got Doug Martin back. They got all this talent, especially former Florida State crab stealer, Jameis Winston. You know, and then they got decent defense too. So I think that's what's going to go on. Cody, where do you place yourself?
It's about the same.
Okay.
But then again, it's going to be a fight between Atlanta and Carolina because I think Carolina's going to have a better year than they did last year.
I hope they do. Cam Newton wants to move away from that, actually. So it'll be all the time. You know, talk is cheap and all that. What'd you say?
I mean, I'll put it behind him and everything and focus moving forward.
Okay. So we're going to move on to the last conference in the NFC. The West, the 49ers, Seahawks, Cardinals, and the Rams. Now, this is a lopside, and Cody, you probably know who I'm going to put number 1, Seahawks. Have been dominating the West for years.
They have been, man.
It's going to be, I'm going to say Seattle, Cardinals, 49ers, and Rams. Rams are struggling. I don't see much difference this year. 49ers
are struggling too.
Yeah, I see him placing third. Cardinals, I don't see him playing better. They had a neutral season this year, and Seattle still has the most talent. So I think that's my West. Cody, what is your West looking like?
I mean, I'm gonna have to agree with you. I'm gonna put Seattle first. I'm gonna do Arizona second. But then again, you know, San Francisco and LA, I mean, they're all downhill. I mean, definitely the Rams is going to be last.
Okay.
But then again, it really depends. But you know, the 49ers, you know, they had pretty good seasons for, you know, a couple of years ago. Yep. But it's just that they all started going downhill.
Absolutely. So we're going to move on to the AFC North now. This is also another lopsided conference I don't really want to talk about, but we have to. NFC North, Patriots number 1, Dolphins second. I see the Bills third and the Jets fourth. What do you guys think, Cody?
I'm sorry. I don't think Miami will be second.
Because they're only a decent team. They got the second most talent.
Jay Cutler. You forgot about Jay Cutler.
Yes. Dude, it's a burning dumpster fire with a dolphin corpse in it.
Well, to be honest, you know, of course, you got your dominant team. You got some bowl champs. I'm going to put them first. I'm going to put Buffalo second. And for third is it's a mix-up because the Jets are...
Well, I actually forgot. Micah Hyde is going to be playing for the Bills. They got Tolbert as fullback. Yep. They got some Clemson guys, too.
Anquan Bolden.
Sammy. Oh, did they? I thought Anquan Bolden was still a free agent. Well, that does it for
they
that.
picked him up today.
Okay, wonderful news for them. So that's looking like for the North. We're going to move on to the East, which is a more interesting division, in my opinion, including the Ravens, the Bengals, the Steelers, and the Browns.
That's the AFC North.
Is it? No?
Yeah, the AFC East is where the New England are in.
Dude, I looked this shit up earlier. The Patriots were in the... Hold on.
I'm looking at it right now.
I must have that mixed up then.
Yeah, the AFC East is New England, Miami, Buffalo, and New York Jets.
Oh, that's the East?
And the AFC North, yeah. And the North is Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Cleveland, and Cincinnati.
Okay, so I'm gonna switch that in the editing then. My bad. Okay, so we're gonna move on to that division in the North. We just talked about the East. We're gonna talk about the North now. I see the Steelers first, Bengals second, Browns third, and the Ravens fourth. What do you think, Cody? What is yours looking like?
Cleveland is definitely last. But I don't know for first. I mean, Baltimore was having some potential last year. But then, you know, between Pitt and Baltimore, that's like one of the biggest rivalries in the NFL. And then, to be honest, I think Pittsburgh's going to be playoff eligible this year. And then, but then again, they had to go through Baltimore and everything. So I'm going to put Pittsburgh first.
All right.
It's going to be a little mix-up. I'm going to put Cincinnati second. And I'm going to put Baltimore third and Cleveland last.
All right. I respect that. Yeah, go
honestly,
ahead.
that's a tough call. Like
that is a tough call, man.
Ooh, Pittsburgh Steelers and Baltimore Ravens were going at each other last year.
They always have, man. I mean, it's like I said,
For
it's
years.
one of the biggest rivalries, man.
Yeah, but honestly, last year it seemed like it was the biggest they were going at each other's
Yeah.
throats.
Oh my God, dude. I mean,
I stopped following
football.
football, but after hearing about Raven and Pittsburgh and the rivalry that they were having constantly, I watched those games and they were going at each other's throats.
They always do, Rated. They always do. That's like one of the biggest anticipated games, man. You can't